Welcome one and all here back to NACL Summer 2023. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Magical and Cubby as we're getting in game number 2, or day number 2 rather, of our split, and couldn't be more excited to be here. Magical finally rejoined at last. I had Cubby yesterday on the cast, so first I'm going to go to you. How are you doing, Magical?
I mean, it is only day 2, so I will say, you know, it wasn't like you had to deal without me for too long.
It's so long. It's so long. Going even a day. All right.
Well, granted, we also had a break, but you know, I got my ring. I know you got your ring on. We got to really quickly flex on Covey. You know,
what is this thing? It's. I heard it's a buff of some sort.
Buff.
Something, you know, that maybe Cubby's taking a nerf. I don't know, to some extent. No, Cubby, do you have a rebuttal?
No, congrats to both of you on your lifelong happiness. I wish you both the best, especially you, Alex. That was recent, so congrats to the two of you.
Congratulations.
And yeah, excited to get into the games that we have today. As if you're a Disguised fan, I think they play the other top 2 teams in the league, as I very much expect Disguised, TLC, and FlyNC to all be top 3 in some order by the time that we get to the end of this. So very excited to see them tested early.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence between both teams going at it today in FlyQuest Challengers in Disguise. We'll get to that a little bit later. First and foremost, you may be wondering what we're doing here. What has changed with all the chaos about NA development in the offseason? What could be going on? Well, hey, guess what? We got a format video for all those changes and the breakdown of how this season is going to go. We're going to go ahead and check that out right now. Welcome to the summer split of the LCS Challengers League. If you hadn't noticed, there's a few changes from spring. First off, welcome to the new faces joining us in the league, even if we can't see all of them. This summer, we'll feature 10 teams competing in a double round robin of best of 2 matches in a 6-week regular season. The top 8 teams advance to the NACL playoffs, which will feature a double elimination bracket with a mix of best of 3 and best of 5 matches, which concludes with a live finals at Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles. Running concurrent to the Challengers League regular season are 2 qualifier tournaments. After playoffs, the bottom 2 teams from the Challengers League will compete against the top 4 teams from the qualifiers in a promotion tournament, battling it out in a double elimination bracket for a chance to qualify for the NACL in 2024. All LCS Challengers League games and coverage will be available on twitch.tv/LCS_challengers and twitch.tv/path-to-LCS. Catch the regular season games every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific, where your subs and Twitch Primes will directly support the teams and players. Another split of Challengers League begins, and we can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much, commercial shill Mazel, for the format video explainer, but got to have a little bit of fun making that one, especially the way that, you know, we needed a perspective on this split, especially with a lot of the changes coming through. And speaking of those changes, we have our 10 teams that are part of NACL for this summer split. And Cubby, we got some new names, some big faces, but as well as some firsts here along the roster.
Yeah, I mean, we went from 16 to 10, lost quite a few LCS organizations given the changes that we had to the rule set with franchising and everything, but we do have some exciting new faces that have joined us this split, notably Maryville being the first collegiate team to break that barrier in the Tier 2, a huge accomplishment from them, and as well as Supernova, an org that has been around for a long time, has housed names even like Tactical in the past as he made his way up throughout the system. Good to see them in the league. Taco as well, Team Fish Taco, joining after Tony Top could not find a sponsor. And of course, Disguised, who will be kicking off the stream today. He's in the league and also brought some new co-streamers yesterday, which was fun to see.
It's also exciting, like the teams, like what players they are fielding. We see a lot of our Challengers teams kind of keeping the most of the same players that they had last split. But then you have teams like Disguise that have 3 of the 5 champions from spring on their team. So I mean, there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to these teams. Even if we have lost a few, I'm still super excited to see how everyone grows going into summer and what crazy chaotic games we'll have.
I just love that Disguise picked from the best fruits of the top of the tree. Coming into this one, picked very, very well. But hey, you there, right there, the one that's watching this screen right now. Okay. Do you like freedom? Do you like players? Do you like their stories? Well, boy, do I have an ad for you.
want to support NA League of Legends? Do you want custom emotes to spam in chat? Do you want to wake up and taste freedom? Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_challengers to salute the players and the flag!
Oh, Distarts, wait, what about the Canadian players?
Heck yeah, they're in too! Anyone can!
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part, and you can too! Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_challengers to salute the players and the flag!
We did it yesterday, so we gotta do it today. Salute for the men and women of this wonderful league. I will just say, if you support the players, it goes a long way.
Twitch Prime.
You will shill all day, all night for these players, for these teams, because you got to remember 50% of the revenue goes towards their backing. So definitely make sure you're using your Twitch Primes, your subs. Get those emotes, especially here on the Path to LCS channel. I'm just saying, we got some cool caster emotes in there as well. But let's go ahead and look at the community sentiment, at least around the league right now. As Yanni coming in with the Robbie Bob shout out. He has to be one of the collegiate amateur GOATs. And after recent success and after yesterday's performances, I think, Cubby, we have a little bit more backing to that.
Yeah, I was able to go through the VODs that were on this stream yesterday, last night, and Robbie Bob had a really nice Cassiopeia game. And given everything that he has been able to accomplish, especially in the collegiate space, I think Shogo was a big part of that back-to-back for University of St. Thomas, who deserves a lot of the credit, but I think Robbie Bob sometimes gets overlooked in that back-to-back as well as Porsche, so good to see him getting some love there from Yami. As Noxwar, someone that runs a FlyQuest fan podcast, Flight Check. Yeah, excited to see him. Looking forward to the games yesterday.
Yeah, and even though Fear did lose 0-2, I'm still excited to see how that team is going to be, since 3 of the 5 players on that team are still the same that we saw last time, and that was one of our biggest standout performances of all provisional teams was Cincinnati Fear.
Also, he's referencing the best of 5 that Fear knocked FlyQuest out of the bracket in the spring playoffs, so I like the fact that we could see a mini rivalry between those two, especially given the top lane trades.
And we got to see a little bit of influence from Fake God over on the Twitter sphere. Glad we smurfed game 1. Had to say sorry about game 2, but I still think they had a lot of skirmishing heavy performances. It definitely was TL who took the upper hand, but still really interesting look from Fake God, who is very confident coming into this split so far, and so is the rest of Disguise Magical.
Honestly, not even just Disguise, the whole league. Every team looked like they were just out there ready to rumble. That didn't seem like one team was just like, you know, if we don't get the early leads, we're just going to give up. We're going to roll over. Everyone's just like, no, I don't care what's happening. We're looking for plays. We're looking to make things work. And that's what I love to see, especially because we have some newer organizations. We have new players to the league as well that we weren't really sure of going into this. So see everyone just willing right out of the gates to put everything first and foremost is exciting.
Yeah, a little bit of a logwood here from Quacker, though, but Cubby, a lot of reflection, at least on how the first series had gone.
Yeah, no, that's Supernova because Robbie Bob was competing in the Collegiate Championship, which he won and was the MVP of. Yes. Supernova wasn't quite able to scrim with that full roster, but that 1-1 yesterday against Taco, I think that was important. I do think that both those teams will be towards the bottom of our standings, so the fact that each team was able to pick up a win could help them maybe prove me wrong as the season moves forward.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now. You guys all are having these predictions, week 1 at the beginning of the season. Cincinnati Fear, they're going to be a bottom of the barrel team. They're not going to do it. Don't you? No. I saw.
They're like in my B tier or something, A tier. I don't remember.
You did not have them 4th in spring. Do not lie to yourself.
No, that's true.
I saw your predictions. Do not lie to me. That's what I'm saying. You guys all have these predictions week 1. Be like, this team's going to be the bottom of the barrel. And then we get surprises. So I'm ready for everyone to just break the bracket.
Break the bracket, if you will. If you have any thoughts on this, make sure you're following at Path to LCS to see all of Magical's craziness, but all of Path to LCS's wonder. And if you use the hashtag at Path to LCS, then maybe, and NACL, you can get a little bit of interaction with the broadcast here as well. Let's go ahead and look at the interaction that we had from teams, though, in day number 1 of NACL Summer Split, as we had a couple 2-0s. It is EGC and FlyC who sit at the top of the table so far, Magical.
Yeah, and the One that's really exciting to see is Evil Geniuses starting off strong to the season, because this is a team that all of spring we're like, when does this whole roster come together? Because they had to play with subs for so long due to visa issues. Here, we start off the summer split. They already have the whole team that they meant to have at the beginning of spring together, and they did a great job in their first showing against Maryville. It was great to see that from them.
Yeah, Shaden really monstered game 2 on the Vi, a champion that he wasn't really known for in spring. So great to see him put in the work for the offseason, have that payoff early in this season. Whereas FlyQuest, I think they should have split that series against Fear a little bit closer than what we're going to see on the scoreboard. Game 1 got a little bit funky from Fear. Props to FlyQuest is, grouping with Annie ended up being too much for Fear's comp. And now we're going to have to see if FlyQuest can continue that today. As I know our first match is one I'm really excited for.
Oh, we got some fun ones, and I know we were covering a lot of these teams yesterday, so we get a second look at them. But we have
you guys
two
covered
best of
all
twos,
of them.
and we literally covered every single one of these teams. It was FlyQuest Challengers versus DSG for our first matchup, a banger in its own right. Both sides very confident in their own coming into day 2, and on the other side of it, we have TLC, who ended up taking that 1-1 against DSG last series against MU, who are still looking for that win, but had their first splash.
Yeah, and I'm looking at how these teams are going to really stack up. Like, we already were really excited about, like, our Challengers teams that stuck together. Like, looking at FlyQuest Challengers, going up against 3 of the 5 champions here in DSG, I think that's going to be a really fun matchup to start off our day, just to see how they already measure up against each other going into the split. Of course, it is double round robin that we have. That's the change that we have from spring to summer, is the teams will play each other twice. So this will just be our first showing to really get us an idea of where they're going to stack up with one another.
For clarity, they play each other twice in 2 best-of-2s, so 4 times throughout the split, too. So, yeah, we're going to have that rematch later.
Best of ones here. Get out of here with that. We do want to see you influencing some of this chat vote that we have, so make sure you're spamming in chat. FlyC if you want FlyQuest to win, or DSG if you want Disguised Toast to win, or if you're a Breakfast fan, I guess. But we got to go ahead and bring up the Disguised roster, because as we'd already foreshadowed to, and as we had a wonderful welcome yesterday, it is 3 of the 5 pieces of the championship roster from last split, with 2 standout players on their respective rosters from last split, Young and Meech.
I love this graphic. I'm just going to say, I did see the drawings on Disguise Twitter, but to see that on the graphic here
It's
for
so
the Path
good.
to LCS is great. Also, if you look at the little detail, like Fake God has a lamppost for Jax. Young has the kunai, so that way he, what is it, Akali. Meech is Lucian. Not sure what Tomio and Zeyzal are, though.
Zeyzal's just the bearded man.
He's like bearded support.
Well, no, yeah, but
He's your
what
nightmare.
champion is he supposed to be? Because he's holding a ward, so it's like, I don't know what champion is. And Tomio, he's just in a brush. So again, what champion is he?
He's the James Harden of the League of Legends,
That's what I'm
except
saying.
he actually doesn't choke, He's always clutch, Zeyzal.
Yesterday, we decided it was just because they're so good at the roles that that's what they get. But I do want to take a look at Zeyzal in particular, a guy who had come back in the scene and immediately found success, coming off of a little bit of a coaching stint as well before. But you see success just following this guy, it seems.
For me, whenever Zeyzal has competed, he's been good. And it was really sad because his exit from the scene, it was from the org that should not be named, but I'll name here, Solafide. Him not being able to get paid from that org was really sad. But now that Zeyzal has, found an org where he's comfortable with C9, first off the return there, and now back to Disguise. Whenever Zeyzal has competed, he's been good, and he has always been a leader for his team, the primary shot callers. So I want to see if Zeyzal can get the 2 new troops in Young and Meech on the same page. And I got to say, Disguise, even though it was a 1-1 split yesterday, I think they did have a nice showing.
And it's also nice seeing how he works with Tomio, a really young jungler that we already know has great mechanics, but sometimes just lacks direction. And Zeyzal really does provide that for him. Kind of gives him where he needs to go, so that way he can utilize his mechanics to the fullest.
Yeah. And on the other side, a team that is forming over a little bit of change, but a lot of sticking together. We got Faisal coming in for FlyQuest Challengers in place of Philip, but the rest of the roster are the main guns that we saw FlyQuest make those big runs with last split, Magical.
And this is a team that I've always been excited for. Like, Masu really surprised everyone as a rookie coming into the split, being someone that was so good at his role and such a standout performance that even when he was playing with 200 ping, this guy was still popping off the Wi-Fi wizard that everyone dubbed them for a while. And then finally, when he didn't have to worry about the ping. He did have a hiccup briefly because he was trying to adjust to not having ping. But then we got to see him again back to that form that we're like, this guy is so good. And being with someone like Winsome, where Winsome has been a great person when it comes to shot calling. It's been fantastic. That's something even FlyQuest, like the LCS roster, talked about. Was why he was so good is because this guy was able to provide the direction for the team. And this is something that I think Masu has really been able to thrive with, is having that direction from his support. They're like, hey, we're going to go for this aggressive play. Are you with me? And Masu's like, hell yeah, I'm down for this. We're down to Clown between two turrets. Who cares? We're going to constantly rumble. And Winsome is always the one leading that charge.
And
Yeah.
like for me with Winsome, when he stepped into this roster, they went 16-5 the rest of the split. And so I think that Winsome, you know, that direction, it wasn't just for Masu, it was for the whole team and really all their macro. And what I really liked about FlyQuest last split is that they were able to run flexible strategies, whether that was playing the map or, you know, playing early game comps, playing late game. It felt like FlyQuest had some of the most strategic diversity out of all of our challenger squads, and I really hope they bring that to the Rift again this split.
I love what they're bringing to social media right now. Too lazy to make a game day graphics. They'll just take FlyQuest graphic instead, mark out a couple things and change them out. But it is a big
It gets the job done.
It works easy as toast. But I do appreciate getting to see a little bit of that back and forth between them as we're seeing those social tweets from earlier. But especially the way that I love the highlight on Winsome. The other side, the contrast, right? We talked a little bit about Zeyzal and how important he has been in the past to his teams, but also we're already kind of seeing that, right? He is lifting up his ADC in Meech. Got a little bit of butter on your knife here, ready to go. But I think that speaking of, maybe there's going to be a little bit of tussling and maybe buttering of bread in the bottom side for Winsome versus Zeyzal here, Magical.
I'm sorry, that was just a great graphic. Just
It was incredible.
Knife with the toes.
I love majesty of kind of like the nice little light on the side. It has the little green lighting underneath, so you know it's FlyQuest as well. Gotta appreciate that as well. But I do want to read back focus because I do appreciate the matchup with Winsome and Zeyzal. I think they are so lauded in terms of what they've been able to do over this last split, and now coming into a renewed split, we've already seen strength from both of them in this earlier day yesterday here, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, FlyQuest, they should have dropped that game one. It was really grouping up with Annie that ended up taking that game against Fear. And I think that what I credit each of these supports with, they are the people that, you know, we know are the leaders, but also their teammates credit for making calls within the game, what to do, where to go. And to see them go toe-to-toe, obviously Winsome played at a very high level last split in both Challengers and even in LCS when he got his shots there. And Zeyzal was the champion, so I think we have the two best supports in the league going up against each other and the two leaders for each of these squads, which will be a lot of fun to see.
It should be, as we are getting ready for game number 1. Draft is ready to go, guys, so go ahead and take it away. Let's see how this day kicks off.
All right, thank you, Lennon. We will see you on the other side. Also, for anyone that is watching Twitch Prime, don't forget about that. Subscribe, helps out the players. Also, if you're on, watching one of the co-streams and you can hear me, why not subscribe to them too? I'll give a shout out there. There you go. Boom. I got
that's
you guys.
cool. Professional shill.
I got you guys.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Burn your Twitch Primes forever. We got over 800 subs across both of our channels yesterday. The support is insane, and of course, some of that money does go towards the teams in our league, so good to see. But I am excited to talk about the two teams that we have today in Mad Magical, as again, I think Disguised, they played TLC yesterday, they play FlyC today. I think that those are going to be the top 3 teams on the top of our standings at the end of this regular season, and the ones that I expect to make it the top 4 or maybe finals. I don't know what order that's going to be in. We're going to let the teams decide, but looking at the rosters, I think Disguised are playing the two best teams in the league to kick things off, and really excited to see them go up against FlyC, who of course did find that 2-0 yesterday, against Fear, who I think is the next best team after those 3.
It is kind of crazy. Like, we have this guy's playing such top talent to start off our season and get into the draft here. We see that they are taking away some of the power that we've seen really on this patch currently. Nico, Melio, Zeri. But the Zeri being banned surprises me that we have a first pick Yuumi for Winsome.
You can still play Aphelios with the,
I know, but
the Yuumi. It's fine.
I'm saying it surprises me, but I like that from Meech. I really like that Lucian pick, which to me indicates that more than likely it's going to be Zeyzal on a Nami, which I think he has something like a 9-1 record on Nami, just because he played so aggressively. And having someone like Beach, who also likes to play really aggressively, I'm expecting that even though Masu wins some, they get quite a safe lane in this Aphelios Yuumi, that we are going to see Tomio visit bot lane level 2, look for some shenaniganeries right out of the gate.
10-2 on the Nami for Zeyzal last split. Not bad, but we see FlyQuest assembling some other pieces. I would really like Annie in the mid lane here, just given... I think that Aphelios Yuumi, you have the late game covered. Annie, this gives you some power in the 2v2. And it does force Disguise. I mean, they have to take the Nami here, so you're still going to be able to find some bans to protect that Annie later. But I think this start for FlyQuest is good. That said, I was really impressed with Fake God's play yesterday. The K'Sante being picked up for him. I think that Fake God is going to make a case to be the strongest top laner in our league. He did so last split with the likes of Jenkins and Haunter, as those three had a real resurgence in their return to Challengers play. And Fake God picked up right where he left off. I thought he was fantastic in that 1-1 yesterday against TLC.
Yeah, Fake God really impressed me in spring.
Yeah.
I think Fake God was one of these players that after his time in the LCS, where he had kind of a lackluster performance, he even talked about that, where he lost a lot of motivation, took a season off to really be able to refocus, then came back into Challengers and has been just absolutely crushing it. Like, this guy has been so good in how he's performing. And with this K'Sante pick, I'm really curious to see how it's going to go up against someone like Faisal, because Faisal really impressed us all when he was on Cincinnati Fear. Really, he was the one that everyone would talk about when you talk about Fear, because his Olaf play was so absurd and so strong that nobody really could even go toe-to-toe to him once he had that champion locked in.
I do expect the K'Sante to be in the hands of Fake God, but of course I also expect most of our mid laners to be able to play this in Challengers, so there is technically still some flexibility available for us guys. I would like to see an Annie ban coming out of FlyQuest. I feel like that's... Or a Syndra ban coming out of FlyQuest, just given it's good into the Annie, but can also prevent the Aphelios from walking as far forward as he'd like. Whereas Disguise looks like gonna throw one ban to protect that K'Sante top. And also I'd like the Wukong ban, just taking away that really strong duo, which is the Annie Wukong. So much upfront damage at CC, and really open things up to any marksman to finish up a team fight before it starts, with how much damage and how much quick engage comes out of that combo.
Yeah, and also Wukong being the champion that Yuji played the most last split makes a lot of sense. It's something that just works really well in most compositions, especially team fight compositions. As you talked about, but Rek'Sai, the final ban there for FlyQuest, instead of going for what we expected with that Syndra ban, and then Tomio locking in Kha'Zix. Let's go.
So Kha'Zix, it's a bit of a deny. Yuji played this yesterday with Annie, and it's all about 2v2, 3v3 with Kha'Zix. You want to find skirmishes and take advantage of, the evolved queue that we've been seeing a lot of Kha'Zix go to make sure that the neutrals go in your favor, but also those 2v2s are going to be really strong. So Young will now have 5 pick to what we expect at least to try and pair up with this Kha'Zix, as magic damage is still needed on the side of Disguised. And I got to say, Sion right now, it's going to feel pretty good against Lucian, Nami, Kha'Zix. Like, Kha'Zix,
it really is.
You can't rip through a Sion. You can somewhat tank up to Lucian, Nami. So Faisal just going to be on weak side duty, and we'll see how Yuji is able to round it out. I'm not expecting that we're going to see any jungle Sion from Challengers today. We didn't see it. We saw that yesterday at LCK. It was rather goofy. Not bad from Canyon, but I don't think we're going to quite have our junglers ready to play that.
No, I would have been very surprised to see that as well. Especially not into Kha'Zix. It would really struggle into that matchup.
Ooh, we could see a Gwen. Gwen's good here. Gwen's really good here. Yeah, I would really like Gwen.
All right, so that's K'Sante mid, Gwen top.
Yeah, I really like this flex. Gwen, pretty much strong into everything. And this lane into Sion, look, I'm a support player. If I can play this lane in Diamond, Gwen to the Sion, it's easy. All right, this is such a free lane for Gwen. There is nothing that Sion can do in this matchup. It's really difficult. Sion's going to live under his turret. Gwen's going to be able to farm and get a free lane. And then you have that Shroud to protect yourself from something like a Timbers, from something like Yuumi, from something like Aphelios damage coming in. You force them to go into you where Gwen's really strong. So I really like this 5 pick for Disguise. I feel like it's somewhat saves their draft and also gives them that side lane win con. If things go wrong for them, they will always be able to rely on Gwen in the side lane to try and get something done.
And I like it too, because even if you then have Gwen a part of the fights going in with Kha'Zix, you have pretty much the double threat when you have flanks, right? You'll have the Gwen on one side, Kha'Zix on the other, and as Annie, you can only really focus on one of them at a time. And I do like how that really does round out this guy's composition. But when we get into the draft here, up against FlyQuest challengers, this guys, they have this great position, be able to utilize side lanes, have these flankers, but then you look at FlyQuest, and that is all. There's a bundle of stats for team fights.
Excited to see if these guys can step on up in this game. I think the game plan for them, it's got to be attack bot, right? Because it is a Yuumi lane, but I want to see where Tomio decides to try and find Yuji. If Kha'Zix does get the jump onto Viego and that W is down, Kha'Zix can do so much early damage to try and get things happening as Zeyzal going to chase out Winsome. No dice.
Yeah, just chasing him away. Kind of like, all right, where is Masu? They've realized, hey, you know, the cat was by himself. Didn't expect that. Expected Masu to be nearby. That's why they actually spotted out under the ward, the turret, just to be able to get a little bit of vision. But weren't able to get anything. Both sides kind of just waiting it out.
Oh,
we might actually,
invade.
yeah, I was going to say, we might see a late invade here from FlyQuest challengers. As you got Yuji and Faisal kind of ready. There it is. They're going to go for that late invade as Spyrex sees that Young was on the bot side.
Sion can bully early. Would love to see if there's going to be any contest here. As yeah, all right, there we go. We found it. Free Raptors going over to the side of UG and FlyQuest, using some of the early power of the Sion quite well. We saw TL pull off that Sion strat where you actually help your jungler farm the first 3 camps and then try to go for a dive. Sion very strong early, and of course, this lane we expect to be over before it starts for Faisal. So I like that he's helping split the map, try and get UG a head start in the jungle.
Yeah, because why bother? It's not really like you're going to be able to do much in that top lane, so go for that. And this even allows UG to then take away the 2 camps, go to his own bottom side of the map, because he knows that it's going to be difficult for Masu and Winsome to do much. So he has to go there immediately to make sure that Meech and Zeyzal can't roam into his jungle with Tomio.
And this is the sacrifice that Disguise made by taking that Gwen top in draft, is that you aren't going to have mid-prio very early. K'Sante needs to get some items and get tanky. We'll lose that push to the Annie. So the fact that it was a split map for FlyQuest, UG able to cross immediately, takes the red buff. This is a really good start for FlyQuest, taking red buff away from Kha'Zix, as we are going to see Tomio try to jump over and get involved, but UG, he's got the smite. He will be able to secure this. Tomio was spotted crossing, and now UG's going to be able to fight. Could have a 2v2.
Tomio just drive by saying, you know what, yeah. Can't really fight this one. It's really difficult because what kind of damage do they have outside of Kha'Zix? When it's a 2v2 fight, you no longer have that isolation.
I love this opener from FlyQuest. I feel like it's a really good understanding of what they need to do in this game, and also just leaning on the Annie and the power that she brings early. That's what enables them to get this done. As now Yuji is actually going to skip over his topside camps. This is the only play that Tomio has to go for Krugs or gank top. He's not hovering top here. That Shroud was just burned by Fake God, so here comes Yuji.
Yeah, Yuji, let's see.
Oh, never mind.
He actually bailed out. Yeah, he bailed off of it. So instead going to the Scuttle Crab. I was kind of waiting for it too. Again, we kind of have to then look at where's the damage really coming from when Yuji goes for that gank. You have it from Yuji, Faisal. Sure, there's a lot of base damage that you have.
Oh, we found him.
You're always worried that Tomio is going to be able to join in. Tomio right there. He just jumps away. It'll be fine, but mid lane, there's a little bit of a skirmish happening between Young and Spyrex. Kind of cool to see a lot of this from both sides, where they're all really strong in their roles, and they're all looking to get these early leads.
Oh, hold on.
Bot lane, they got Exhaust on a Meech already, and Masu X is the first to fall.
No way.
Meech, no way! How did you live that whole time?
Huge for the side of DSG, as Masu, he had Ghost and Flash. I mean, Ghost is going to help you there. Maybe Flash gets you out of some damage, but he goes down. Calculation not quite there. As FlyQuest, the bot lane falls. Much needed for Disguise. They need to push the pace of this game to make sure that this Aphelios UV doesn't get out of control as time goes on. Zeyzal's even going to try and execute to get this wave in.
Nice.
Yeah, not quite able to do it. It was a good attempt from Zeyzal, actually. As the wave not quite able to get into the turret, but still great start here for the side of Disguise.
And let's watch this too. It's the maybe not.
Second look.
Detours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice wall. Yeah.
Detours, it's okay, you know. But we can kind of talk about what happened right there. It was really well read by Meech, and this is something that Meech is always always known. He's got the reactions. Whenever you watch Meech on how he is, he'll play things until like the bitter end when it's the last moment he knows that he has that ability to flash out. And he has so much confidence there in Zeyzal to make sure that he gets the heal off just in the nick of time so they can turn that around.
And that was really important because Yuji, he had the edge on Tomio early given that opener from the side of FlyQuest. As, okay, Fake God's going to throw.
Oh!
Not quite able to find it there with level 6. Faisal able to obtain 6 on his own. Yeah, Fake God's going to pull the wave, so a couple more creeps will be lost by Faisal. He's forced to TB back. Should be matched by the side of Fake God, but again, Gwen, once you get the Leeching Leer, which Gwen is sitting on, that matchup is over. So Gwen wins from here on out. And it is pretty brutal for the Cyan to play this one. So we'll see how much Fake God can get done and how much of a lead he can amass for himself, because Gwen can be massive this game.
Especially since Ghost hadn't been popped previously. So that means that if you extend even slightly as Cyan, you're really going to struggle here. And kind of going back to the point I was trying to make before, you know, you look at these two teams and they have really strong players across the board. These are all players that we have hyped up at one point in their career. You look at, like,
oh, heads up. Tomio's in trouble. Tomio's in trouble.
Tomio was in trouble, but he had the flash and dash, so.
No!
Here's a look.
Just throw the Q, Spyrax. It's a point and click.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, it happens.
Important that Disguised, I think, is able to pick up this first dragon, as it's going to be most likely just sitting on the Serrated Dirk for Lucian, but also it will be Tomio going for the Umbral Glaive, the double lethality start. Again, Disguised, I think they need to get some things done early on this bot side of the map. It's a little bit tricky because, of course, Gwen, she scales out of her mind in this game, as Gwen does in pretty much every game, but I think that Gwen is especially valuable in this one, given just the amount of damage that FlyQuest needs to have out of the Aphelios to make this comp work. So I think that Disguise, you know, picking things up early, it will buy time for the Gwen, but also I want to see if they can turn this into keeping that Aphelios down. Because I think that if you do set Aphelios behind, there is really no other damage on the side of FlyQuest. Why I thought that first kill bot was so important for Disguised. As good bubble there from Zeyzal.
That was a nice bubble as Monster takes a lot of damage for his worries.
And of course, some of the Yuumi changes, it's mostly shields. You have to do some damage to get the heal off. So Masu going to really be on the back foot. No heal available for Winsome. And Disguised able to get quite a bit done on the bot side. So props to Zeyzal and Meech stepping up. They found the first kill, and they're trying to turn it into more, which seems to be successful at the moment.
A great look from this newly acquired bot lane, since they didn't get to play with each other last time. Meech was on CLG Challengers in the spring split, while Zeyzal on Cloud9.
This is huge.
But seeing how they're playing together, and even looking yesterday, and this is kind of what we expect from these two. Very aggressive players. Both of them really like to play on the front foot. That's why the DSG graphic had Meech represented by Lucian, right? He loves to play these lane bully style where he's in your face constantly looking for these rumbles, and Zeyzal is really building him up to be able to do so in every single match.
So Disguise was able to take the first dragon, but not able to secure the first ritual. Yuji's going to feel good about that one. Props to Tomio as he was able to get level 6. Looks like the claws are evolved on the Kazakhs, and he's going to get in the bot side jungle here of Yuji and at least take away that red buff. So Tomio has been able to somewhat get himself back into this one. Also, Yuji going for that Trinity Force variation of the Viego, as Spyrax might be under threat.
Looking
for thrown back.
He doesn't have Tibbers anymore. Pulled back by All Out as too, as he was isolated for the kill of Young.
And those are the plays you're going to look for with Kazakhs. Try to find those skirmishes where he is so strong. Young going all out, takes down the Annie. And Disguise, they're amassing themselves a nice little lead here early.
And a lot of that, I think, comes from the bot lane, from that play, because it gives extra time to Tomio that he can go for those invades so he can slowly get himself back in a position where he was struggling for some time against Yuji.
You can see the item differential. I mean, when this Lucian Nami hits this next wave, I mean, this is a Bioff Sword Serrated Dirk into the Aphelios. This Culling's going to hit really hard. So the FlyQuest bot lane still on the back foot. Needs to try and continue to scale. But still is Aphelios Yuumi. Not worried there. Just want to see if Disguise can continue to find wins.
I'm worried. Look at how they have to play right now. Masu
as the game goes on, not worried. It's fine. Yeah, see?
Yeah, okay,
it's all right.
as the game. There we go. As the game goes on. Viego's here, but they're going all out. They already got the exhaust out of Meech. Meech, way too aggressive there.
Yeah.
You needed to make sure that you're playing with Zeyzal. Zeyzal, he was like, yeah, we need to play a little bit more passively, and it's put Zeyzal in a bad position to get double killed by Masu.
Yeah, there's a trinket in Meech's inventory. I think that after the culling, throwing a ward down before you step up again might help them prevent that play, as we're going to take a second look. Culling gets thrown out. There's no wave here, so this is your time to ward. I think that Meech and Zeyzal walking up, after this, just go throw a ward in the river. It would have spotted UG. Not going to be the case, though. Meech goes down. And good flash forward here from UG to make sure that this connects. Sidestep from Masu also makes sure the damage comes in. Well played from FlyQuest Challengers. They get a foothold back in the spot lane. Important for them, as that was the point of power for Disguised. And still feel like Disguised, especially in the 5v5 grouping, needs to keep things rolling. So the fact that FlyQuest are able to get a shutdown there on the side of Meech, they actually have the gold lead back in their favor, as UG looks like while we were in the replay, he actually threw that Herald down bot, and there were 4 plates off of that bot side turret. So FlyQuest turned that play into a pretty big win for themselves.
Yeah, that is a lot of gold. And I was like, hey, you were saying how Masu, Winsome, they'll do fine. Felios and Yuumi, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, the lane, they're struggling. And then I cast a curse it, because then after that, Meech, Zeyzal die, and all that gold. Like, if we get to see just how much gold Masu got from that one, I'm pretty sure he now has the lead over Meech as that Aphelios that's going to continue to scale. Okay, he doesn't quite have it, but still, the fact that they were struggling in the lane for so long and now are nearly even, that is a huge swing for FlyQuest.
Oh, look at that. We get the fancy new graphic to go along with it. A new addition for this split. Shout out to Rally Cry, Monkey Bubble for helping us out, as always. Great to have them back with us for this split of Challengers. As at the moment, I still think TSG they need to try and skirmish around this Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix so strong, especially with the completed Umbral Glaive. We'll know that he's not spotted. I expect Young to look on the Spyrax here. Yeah, here we go.
But look at Yuji. Perfect placement to make sure that this attempted play, Young takes a lot of damage, and now, because Yuji's there, there's no isolated damage that Tomio is able to do to any of the members of FlyQuest.
Well done from Yuji on the hover. This will give them first move elsewhere. I know that Spyrax did burn the Tibbers, but ability now for Yuji to get something else done as Tomio is spotted. We'll clear out that ward. No flash being burned, and the TP back, so Young will be full health, and that's going to be enough to deter FlyQuest from anything else.
Yeah, you could tell Spyrax was debating flashing forward to get the stun onto Tomio as well until that TP came in. Then he's like, you know what? I'm going back to mid lane. I'm not risking this play getting turned right back in our face.
That TP for Young, I like this from Disguised. It just guarantees priority mid. Tibbers was down, so no Tibbers for the side of FlyQuest Challengers. That's enough to make sure the second dragon goes over to Disguised Mountain. I think still the strongest individual dragon in the game. Some extra resistances will be really nice for the side of Disguised as this game moves forward. And keep in mind, we have teased the scaling of Aphelios. Yuumi, it's big in the bot side. FlyQuest really need Aphelios to be the primary damage dealer in this game, but same thing can be said for Fake God on the top side, who will be massive in this one.
Ooh, though Masu did take a lot of damage there, and they're able to interrupt Yuumi getting the attach. But you could tell that Disguise, that time around, they were more just playing to try to get Masu and Winsome out of the lane the best possible so they could crash this wave, possibly even get Tomio to dive. The exhaust is still up for Winsome. They have no idea. Okay, they will spot out at Yuji and Tomio are both into the jungle. So Tomio getting a lot of damage out of Yuji, but now the stun back and forth between the two. As you can see, the mid laners are roaming down. There was a look that a play could have gone further, but with the Hex gates being opened up, it meant an easy escape for Tomio.
Yeah, it would have been the fast track for the side of Annie. It's going to be enough to get Tomio out of there. I do want to credit, so that trade that Disguise took bot Mad Magical, it actually did deny a cannon. I want to credit Masu though. I think using the red ultimate to hit 2 saved his life and actually made sure that he was able to catch the rest of these waves. Is I think Masu still falling behind in this lane, but doing a little bit of a better job of making sure that he's able to stay in the lane and stick with it. Well, still down CS, given the pressure of Disguised.
Isn't it always when you play a Lucian Nami lane, it's not about how far, falling behind, because you're going to fall behind against them. It's just how far behind you are. So it's like, as long as you can mitigate that as much as possible and make the losses minimal, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, though, coming up, as the First Strike Lucian has access to Gale Force, Azeel, and also that serrated Dirk, and the mandate is completed for Zeyzal as well, so I think Disguise should really look to fight around this Herald. I think this is a very positive fight for them if they're going to be able to take it.
Well, here's a TPN.
They're going to try to. So FlyQuest, they want to start the fight with Spyrax. Wherever Tibbers goes, that's where we're going to try and get Viego a reset. And actually, that TP is enough to blow them off. So, yeah, they're going to drop it and then go try and take bot outer, as that will fall in favor of Disguise once Lucian's able to get there. But second Herald goes over the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised.
Pays off.
I'm a bit surprised. That I thought for sure that Disguise were going to go for that play, but it seems that they were not willing to play that up front against a team that is a ball of stats, that have a lot to lock them down in tight corridors. Disguise do still need to have good setup when they have these flanks where you could use Fake God and Tomio on the side. So without that, FlyQuest understand they had a little bit of power. They get a nice crash there from Shelly, and in fact take down
hitting really hard.
tier 1 turret.
Yeah, Masu with the green-white. I think that's going to be a really nice setup for him this game. Just keep some range, and you can always take chip damage against
2 charges.
Cassante. A second charge connects. That's nice for FlyQuest. Might help them get some extra gold in their pockets later in the game if they are able to get to that mid-inner turret. But at the moment, bit back and forth, as I think that, at this point, Gwen's at 1 item, Mad Magical.
Yep, the big item.
And we start to kind of tease, hey, when can this Gwen take over? When is Fake God going to be able to make his mark on this game? Because so far he's done a nice job of amassing a little bit of a CS lead. Honestly, more props to Faisal for sticking with this one. But Gwen only gets stronger as this game goes forward. And we'll see how much Fake God can push the pace on this one.
I'm glad you mentioned how Faisal's doing as well, because on the Sion to the Gwen matchup, it is really difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to even get CS. And the fact that he's relatively even against Fake God is a real good showing. Of course, he does have to sack that turret in the bot lane, because he did spot out that Tomio was nearby. And even if he has a ball of stats, you're not really going to do too much when 3 people are wailing away at you.
I mean, Disguise are ahead on the play, but I don't mind this from FlyQuest. They are slowing down the Gwen a little bit. You'd rather have Sion miss tools than, have the Gwen miss resources. So, I said Faisal.
They're going for a lot here on Faisal. Faisal flashing forward, getting the charge. No, does not connect that. Instead, it's just burning everything to get rid of the minions. With Meech low, Tomio actually took a tower shot as well. Well played from Faisal.
Yeah, good Gale Force from Meech. I mean, if the ult hits from Faisal, that might have actually been a kill, but Faisal able to hold things down as the inner turret to stay alive. FlyQuest will reset, though, to answer. And now we are 35 seconds away from this Dragon Mad Magical. This is where FlyQuest, I think, to try and stop the stacking of DSG. Again, everything for me really falls onto the Annie. Wherever that Tibbers go, that's where FlyQuest have to try and find that reset for Viego.
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Why do you keep on checking in on Annie, Mad Magical?
You've been hit by a smooth criminal?
No, I was hit by too much coffee being consumed before I started that point.
All right, fair enough. All right, I've been drinking my tea over here. I got some nice honey in here to help me out. But right now, speaking of honey, Fake God getting a lot of that in the top lane. As he was able to take his turret by himself, which equates to the turret that had been taken previously. So you look at it, and while FlyQuest have toppled 3 structures, DSG getting themselves too, and getting that into some of these solo members is going to be really big, especially because right there, the TP from Fake God, they're all looking to fight around this dragon, the 3rd potential for DSG, which would put them in soul point contention.
For me, eyes are on Fake God. He has to wait for Tibbers to go down before he picks his spot, but if he's able to come in at an angle, Gwen with that Shroud is going to be really powerful against FlyQuest comp. Also really big that Tomio was able to pick up that W evolve, as those are a hell of a pest.
But the stun in on Tomio. They focused. He could not set up, and this is what we talked about, how difficult it is for Kha'Zix to deal with an Annie. Spyrax realized that, but Meech went back in, got a lot of damage on his Spyrax. Waiting it out. Who's going to die? Fake God in the middle, puts down the Shroud, but he's focused. Then he's shut down by UG. FlyQuest challengers have DSG routed. Meech dashing over the wall, followed up. There's Masu ready to cut away the retreat. The bot lane of DSG might have bullied them before, but it's time for Masu and Winsome to have their killing spree.
Great trigger pull from FlyQuest and a good understanding of how to play with the Annie. Wherever Tibbers goes, that's where you get the reset on Viego. Kha'Zix eliminated immediately, and then they piled onto Gwen in the Shroud as Gwen wasn't quite able to find that big angle. We get a replay, everything thrown into Tomio to make this a 5v4. Gets UG that first reset, and then DSG are split. Fake God tries to go in here but he gets exhausted in the back
Right
half,
away.
and him dashing in. I mean, Masu's standing on top of the Gwen, so he's able to continuously damage the Gwen with that Shroud, not able to have the big impact it can have. They got a little bit too far up, trying to win that 4v5 for Disguised. Ends up not leading to anything besides wins for FlyQuest as Masu cleans up the rest, and FlyQuest looking in good shape this game.
Great shape. They've got the gold allocated to the proper members, Yuji and Masu right
They
now.
should have gotten that dragon. I think that
They
there's
got the dragon.
there's a hidden dragon in favor of FlyQuest right now.
They definitely got the dragon. 'Cause
There
I
it
saw
is.
the, I
All
saw
right,
the
yeah.
notifications. I'm like, they definitely got it. We just had a little bit of a, what is it, the scoreboard bug happen.
Nah,
But-
it's sometimes the Hextech dragons are, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
Can be
it's,
sneaky.
Hextech and the Chemtech kind of have some issues.
sneaky like the portals, but at the moment, Yuji trying to be sneaky. He's got the Cat on him. Finds Young to be a little bit of a chip damage. Again, Yuji taking advantage of the Trinity Forest changes. Now has the Black Cleaver, is going to help him get through these tanks. And for me, still a lot of this game is going to fall onto Fake God, as I think Fake God can be the big difference maker on this Gwen with the Shroud. Everything else is going to be a little bit tougher now for Disguised, as Aphelios Yumi has so much control with the Annie. The upfront damage you get from Annie makes it so easy for FlyQuest to find resets on the Yuji's Viego. As long as they're stacked, it's good. It's going to have to be Tomio finding plays in 2v2 still.
I think that's where we're really going to see Fake God pop off, I suppose. When he's able to really work with Tomio from the two sides that we talked about before. It's like, when they can set that up, that's going to be great. But it's so difficult to crack this ball of stats that I keep talking about with FlyQuest challengers.
Look bot. Look bot. We have Fake God going in, but Tomio spotted here. Yuji now.
1v2 though, and he's got a lot of damage. He's healing up the best he can, waiting it out. Needlework does not help out enough because Yuji, he's got the damage.
Man, I love this play from Yuji.
Bye, Tomio.
Okay.
Maybe he heals up just in time, but Moonlight Vigil puts the bot lane of DSG now in danger because Masu is hunting them down, ready, flashing forward, and he burns down Meech. They pick up a kill because Yuji, that whole time, roamed all the way mid to pick up the kill.
FlyQuest wiped the map, and I gotta praise Yuji. He spotted Tomio on the Baron, was already prepped to attack Gwen in the side, who was still missing Ghost. So Gwen falls, and the rest of the map collapses as Tomio steps too far up, doesn't respect the Annie. FlyQuest having a good understanding of their win cons in this game, Mad Magical. Feel like that's the big difference, as they played around this Annie really well. And Yuji, good start to the split for him. Him and Mir were the two strongest junglers in the back half of the season last year when it came to challengers, and Yuji's picked up right where he's left off. As we're going to get a second look, Tomio, he lost the shield, got stunned up in the back half. And then we're walking into Aphelios, and Masu, he didn't take any damage throughout all that. He's just ready to turn everything onto Disguise as Meech and Zeyzal, they taste the guns. Yuji came up from the bot lane. He finds another kill for himself, and everything goes to the way of FlyQuest.
FlyQuest get the kills, FlyQuest get the Baron. They've got control of this game 23 minutes in with a 5,000 gold lead over DSG. It was a quiet early game where they were just farming it up, waiting for these moments to really have their front-to-back teamfight composition that they built in draft, and it has been working out perfectly for them once they got to that point.
Yeah, this guy's just not quite able to get rolling with this Kha'Zix. This Kha'Zix can be so oppressive from ahead, but I think that how Yuji and Spyrax played this 2v2, just continuously finding chunks onto Young and making it hard for Tomio to move with his mid laner. It ended up adding up in the end. Is Tidal Wave going to be used to make sure that wave goes wayward? But FlyQuest have plenty of Baron buff left to continue the siege on the top side. Young finds something on the bot side. Inner turret, a bounty, not bad for Disguise, but still FlyQuest, they're the ones that are going to be sieging on the base of Disguised.
As Tomio has snuck his way, waiting it out. This could be their last hope to look for anything. They jump
like
onto
this.
Faisal here in mid lane, but it takes a
good.
long time to kill him, even with Fake God. Look at that. Everyone can now collapse on the side of FlyQuest. It is not as good as it looked initially, unless they can get this pick on the Spyrax. They've got him to go golden as Young has to dash away himself, being careful. They're all waiting it out as Fake God got chunked by Masu. Has to put the Shroud down to make sure that he dodges away from the Moonlight Vigil. All the while, Yuji hunting down Tomio. You bullied me in the early game, and it's my turn to get the lead. It's my turn to make sure the bug is squashed.
Oh no, okay, no one saw that jump from Yuji. Don't worry about it. He's able to make it over the wall, as unfortunately Tomio, he got squashed. Yuji really playing well in this game on his Viego. We know Yuji for the hands. For people not familiar with Yuji, He was challenger in Korea this offseason. He went over. That was the 4th major region server he's been challenger on. The rest from Mongolia. Oh, Spyrax, big
Spyrax is looking for Meech. He does go down as the all-out comes in from Young with a double knockup as well. Yuji's low, but he still survives. Everyone from FlyQuest somehow are able to make it out except for Spyrax. Look at Faisal. Faisal taking up a lot of that attention, waiting it out, looking for fake odds damage onto Faisal, but they can't follow it up just yet. With the knockback, that should be able to help out and take down the tank.
Tomio.
Yuji, Masu, Winsome, still alive. But there are no good wards for DSG to TP to try to collapse on the 3 remaining members.
They get the dragon, though. I mean, it's at least a soul point, and Hextech, if they get the soul, it's pretty strong. I mean, Disguise gets some bounties from this. FlyQuest a bit of an overextension as Spyrax over-eager to end the game. Flashed in, sacrificed himself, but they weren't able to finish up any kills. It was a nice reaction flash from Meech to actually get out of that one. As we talked about Meech's ability to win those 50-50 reaction speed flashes, he won that one. Let's save the game for Disguise. They're still in this one a little bit.
Keeps the game rolling, but it doesn't necessarily stop the bleeding that is continuing. While they got themselves that 3rd dragon, it's not the soul. So it's not like they're getting that big of a buff from it. They're only getting some minor additions from the Hextech dragon they got from themselves. If they can somehow last for another 4.5 minutes, then get the soul, then we can start talking, Cubby.
No, I think that's a good call out. It still is FlyQuest's favor, but hey, at least Disguised able to live, you know, able to at least make sure that anyone watching can get maybe another heart attack if things get close, as I think they played that fight out well. Props to Meech and that reaction flash to get out of the Tibbers. That was really nice from him. As FlyQuest still, they have knocked down 2 inhibitors, so it is just 1 lane to go. Faisal still splitting. I did like Disguise trying to just take down Faisal and force that ult. Looks like they're going to try and do it again, but Tomio going to lose that Edge of Night. Just get stunned up as Meech finds a chunk.
Got to get the bubble as well on Spyrax, but no follow-up, and look at that. With Bloodthirster now completed for Masu, he can heal him forever. Great guns. Young taking down a half. Nobody can really do much. They're just trying to clear out the waves. But as FlyQuest challengers wait it out, they've got minions pouring in top and mid. All they have to do is play this one patiently, wait for the stacks to start crashing into DSG's base.
I really like how Masu's kept the green guns for all these sieges, and then white in the blue is really nice as Tomio gets chunked again. Spyrax just waiting on Tibbers.
And now Tomio doesn't have that way to jump in. He can get easily blown up as they nearly take down Young too, who's supposed to be the tanky member. Crashing and cracking. Another turret, the final inhibitor, has fallen here in this bot lane as there's the stack of minion waves coming in from mid and top. With 1 Nexus turret remaining, no inhibitors now left up for DSG. There's a hope and a prayer that you can rely on, but it is going to take a miracle at this point, and they're hoping that it's going to be Fake God as he got a lot of damage there on the Faisal.
He's got to wait for the Shroud, though. This turret, can it stay up? DSG should fight now while they still have the turret.
They have to fight now. They're looking for the pullback on the Faisal. They've got a lot of damage on him as well. They jump in. They've taken out the tank. The front line's gone with Spyrax down to 50%. Yuji has gone in his own Shroud, waiting it out. They're all going to be able to bail out there. There's double super minions pouring in from every lane now for DSG. They got to continue this pressure on a FlyQuest.
I think it's just a reset and to take Baron angle, as I don't think Disguise can get out of their base. A little bit sloppy, I gotta say. I think Spyrax, he needs to save that Tibbers for the team fight. He's tried to use it to find chunks. It did get them that 3rd inhibitor, but if Tibbers isn't up, Disguise has done a decent job of grouping up and slowing the snowball of FlyQuest down. Okay, they're gonna see if maybe they can find a Raptor.
They're looking for, I think they were looking for a bug, not a Raptor. They knew Tomio was nearby.
That is true. While he was on the Raptor camp. Tomio, you should know that they're on the Baron. He's going to try and sneak around here.
Faisal spotted out too.
Yeah, okay, they spotted it.
Here's the TP
coming in.
Faisal will be here. Tomio gets a lot of damage on his Spyrax. Has to jump over the wall though. They have to forfeit this Baron, and another objective forfeited over to FlyQuest challengers here. When you have only 2, well, now you have 2 inhibitors that are standing and defending only a single Nexus turret. This is looking dire for DSG.
I mean, the Copium angle is that they're just waiting for the Hextech Soul fight. If maybe they can get a Hextech Soul, maybe that's how they can get back in this game. A couple more items being completed. I think importantly, a stopwatch for Fake God as he did wrap up the Shadow Flame. All eyes are still on him, and he has been able to amass a lot of CS, given that all the super creeps are crashing into the base. So I mean, Disguised are only down 3k gold. Yeah, it's 2 inhibitors down, but because FlyQuest weren't able to end the game on those 2 pushes, it did give Disguised some bonus minions to get back into this one. And now FlyQuest, their goal is to keep them in the base and not give them an opportunity to even try and approach the soul. But now Tomio, he's on the flank, cutting off the wave.
But look at Young, taking a lot of damage again. Flash in for fire, but Meech was able to get out of there again. They've got the pick on Annie. No longer having to worry about that, but they still got to worry about Masu. That is the big crowning achievement for FlyQuest challengers. They've relied on this rookie many a time. They've relied on him every game they need to. He dashes in, barely takes him. Looking at Masu. Finally, they jump on him, but he goes golden, and they've got resets for UG. That's what they needed. Masu survives. He gets the kills and rips apart DSG. Game 1 FlyQuest challengers. They've got this one finally after 30 minutes.
Honestly, some great tenacity being shown from Disguise, but in the end, Masu too much to deal with the cat in his back pocket. Disguise didn't have the damage to get through the tank. I gotta credit, they played through those base defenses really well. I think Spyrax is going in a little bit too early. They were able to actually kite things out. Things were playable on the side of Disguise, but Masu at the end of the day, and Yumi, they were gonna scale. They ended up doing so.
They ended up doing so. It was also a clutch stopwatch there from Masu because there was so much attention on him initially. He was able to use the stopwatch, go golden at the right time. So then Yuji got resets. He comes back up. They throw back the fight, keep that one so they win this game.
Really well done on the side of FlyQuest again. I think the Annie damage doesn't really show the impact that she had on this game. Her ability to open things up for Yuji to make plays early, and that opener from FlyQuest where they got both red buffs and really set Tomio behind. Really like what we've seen from FlyQuest in this early season. Again, I think that Disguise has played the other 2 top teams. I expect them to be top 3 with FlyQuest and TLC. So getting tested early, we'll see if they can bounce back and find a win against FlyQuest in the next game.
That's the nice thing about best of 2s. You still have one more chance to bounce back. We're going to toss it a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Mazel for our Rally Cry halftime show.